Kyler Murray needs to throw the Arizona Cardinals to victory on Sunday.
You are Locked On Cardinals, your daily Arizona Cardinals podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hello, Locked On Cardinals. Alex Clancy here, Friday edition. Follow me on Twitter at Clancy's Corner or follow the podcast at Locked On AZ Cards. Thanks for making Locked On Cardinals your first listen each and every day, free and available on all platforms. Thanks. This episode of Locked On Cardinals is brought to you by LinkedIn. LinkedIn Jobs helps you find the candidates you want to talk to faster. Post your job for free at linkedin.com/LockedOnNFL. Big matchup here for the Arizona Cardinals on Sunday against the Seattle Seahawks. The Geno Smith-led powerhouse offense in Seattle. It's been a weird season so far, man. Like, I've called the NFC a muck box, and I feel like that's apropos. There's a lot of teams with worse records than expected when the season started. There's a handful of teams, namely in the NFC East, with a much better record than people expected when the season started or before the season started. So the Cardinals sitting at 2-3, Seattle sitting at 2-3. The way they both got there is vastly different. The Cardinals haven't got off to a fat start for any game. The Cardinals showed promise against Philly, missed field goal to tie the game to send it to overtime. Cardinals dropped to 2-3, but we saw promise last week against the Eagles. What is it going to look like at Lumen Field on Sunday in Seattle? I'm going to tell you the X factor for the offense and defense in the second segment. I'll give my predictions, even though I don't really like to. I'll give my number prediction just because I don't like looking like an idiot. But I'll definitely do it. But first, how the Cardinals can win on Sunday is through Kyler Murray throwing the ball. This is due to a couple things. One, James Conner's hobbled. He's got rib issues. Darrel Williams is going to be out. Eno Benjamin is the healthiest of all the backs. We'll see if he'll be RB1 on Sunday. Luckily for the Cardinals, they've got Kyler Murray as their quarterback. Kyler Murray is good at football. Kyler Murray is good at throwing said football, and Kyler Murray should throw said football many times on Sunday for the Cardinals to get a victory. In a situation like this, I don't think it's close. I think this is they're going to be a lot of wide receiver, tight end, running back routes run. There's going to be a lot of balls thrown down the field, and we're going to finally see the emergence of the Arizona Cardinals offense for the first time in 2022. We've seen flashes. We've seen glimpses. We've seen star-studded moments. But we haven't seen a first quarter through fourth quarter offensive onslaught like we saw multiple times last season, and that's got to change on Sunday. This defense of the Seattle Seahawks is good at times, but is porous at others. When the New Orleans Saints put up a 39-burger on you without Michael Thomas, without Alvin Kamara, without Jameis Winston, probably not the best defense in the NFL. And that's what the Seattle Seahawks fans witnessed last week. So the Cardinals going to the Pacific Northwest in a game where they've got to win if they want to win the division. I know it's week 6. We're only a third of the way through the season. A lot of things can happen. The Rams don't look like who we thought they were. The 49ers may look better than we thought they would. Because, there was a lot of question marks with Trey Lance, and is he going to stay healthy? He obviously didn't. And then Jimmy Garoppolo comes in. That defense looks stout in San Francisco. The Rams look old. The Rams look disheveled. They look clunky. They look disjointed. And the Seahawks and the Cardinals are the other two big question marks in the NFC West. If the Cardinals can get a W, get a division win under their belt, it will go a long way, especially for tiebreakers if the division stays this close throughout the entirety of the 2022 season. Kyler Murray should throw the ball 40 times. Throw on first, throw on second, throw on third. Like, I know that it's not going to be an exact science like that. Game flow will dictate a lot of it, but I don't think this is one where, because I've talked about it a lot, where it's like they've got to establish the run. They've got to eat clock. They've got to do this in a way to keep Patrick Mahomes or Matthew Stafford or Derek Carr on the sidelines which is the best defense a team can put out, is having the opposing quarterback on the sidelines. But I think going into Sunday, this has got to be Kyler Murray. This has got to be Kyler Murray throwing the ball 45 times, 40 times, if need be. And it doesn't have to be, deep bombs 40 times. It doesn't have to be wide receiver screens 40 times. It could be a lot of Zach Ertz running 5 yards, turning around and say, throw me the ball. It could be screen passes. It could be quick slants, things like that, where you lean on your star player to cover up the fact that your running back room is mainly hobbled. That's the main goal of this. And I think that it's important because the Cardinals need a victory, and you want to win or lose on the hands of Kyler Murray because he'll win you more games than he'll lose you. And you can insert joke here about, sliding too early. I would have spiked it too if everybody was telling me to spike the ball. Nobody knew it was a first down. Nobody knew it was a third down. And it's easy revisionist history to say that, but they had 22 seconds with no timeouts. It was wrong move, but it wasn't on Kyler Murray's, lack of judgment for the reason why that happened. Okay? Solely, I should say. You will win more games than you will lose at the hands of Kyler Murray. And that's what needs to be understood. So, when Kyler has the ball in his hands and he's able to make these decisions, it's going to be a lot easier for the Cardinals to not only stay in games, but win games, even if you've got issues with your running back room. Alex Clancy, Locked On Cardinals. Excuse the video issues. We're back up and running. But yeah, Kyler Murray's got to be the guy. He's got to be the guy. Got to have the ball in his hands, and the Cardinals can get a W on Sunday against the Seattle Seahawks. Thanks for making Locked On Cardinals your first listen each and every day, free and available on all platforms. The X factor on the offensive side and the defensive side of the ball for the Arizona Cardinals. I'm going to discuss both of them next. Locked On Cardinals, your team every day. First, LinkedIn. These days, every new potential hire can feel like a high-stakes wager for your small business. You want to be 100% certain that you have access to the best qualified candidates available, and that's why you have to check out LinkedIn Jobs. LinkedIn Jobs helps you find the right people for your team faster and for free. So you create a job post, okay? Then you add your job and your purple hiring frame to your LinkedIn profile to spread the word that you're hiring. Simple tools like screening questions make it easy to focus on candidates with just the right skills and experience so you can quickly prioritize who you'd like to interview and hire. It's why small businesses rate LinkedIn Jobs #1 in delivering quality hires versus leading competitors. LinkedIn Jobs helps you find the qualified candidates you want to talk to faster. Post your job for free at linkedin.com/LockedOnNFL. That's linkedin.com/LockedOnNFL to post your job for free. Terms and conditions apply. Alex Clancy, Locked On Cardinals, second segment. Thanks for making Locked On Cardinals your first listen each and every day, free and available on all platforms. Kyler Murray at center stage at Lumen Field on Sunday against the Seattle Seahawks, hopefully getting a W for the Arizona Cardinals. The X factors on the offensive and defensive sides of the ball. One worries me a little bit more than the other, and I'll start with the one that worries me. That is Marco Wilson. And the reason why is the Seattle Seahawks have two very, very good wide receivers. Vastly different skill sets, great nonetheless, in DK Metcalf and Tyler Lockett. Tyler Lockett, on Sunday Night Football against the Arizona Cardinals in the pandemic flexed game where Budda Baker intercepted the ball and DK Metcalf ran him down, and Isaiah Simmons' overtime interception that led to the game-winning field goal. Tyler Lockett had over 10 catches and like 200 yards and 2 touchdowns. Like, he's been a thorn in the Arizona Cardinals side for as long as we all can remember. And I'm worried that you're going to have Marco Wilson on Tyler Lockett. And that terrifies the bejeebies out of me, if I can say that. The bejeebies out of me. And, DK Metcalf is probably going to be, Byron Murray's probably going to be tasked with defending DK Metcalf. We'll see. DK Metcalf seems to be, and it has proven to be, the deep ball threat, where Tyler Lockett is more he's got like this weird Julian Edelman-ish mixed with a deep threat route tree where he can do it all, and it's scary. He's like an Antonio Brown light. He's a less talented Antonio Brown, but still terrifying if not schemed against properly. And Marco Wilson has struggled this year. He defended A.J. Brown pretty well. I know that Byron Murphy defended him a bit after Marco Wilson got torched early on in that matchup. But I'd like to see Marco Wilson take a step forward because if he can, and you have Byron Murphy and Marco Wilson as your 1 and 2, Antonio Hamilton, we'll see if he can step up to the plate like he did during camp before he burnt hot oil on himself in the offseason. He dropped hot oil on himself, which caused burning, which caused him to go on IR. That would just be the best of all scenarios. Marco Wilson really coming into his own in a 4th-round pick that the Cardinals traded up for to grab. I'm not so sure that even some of the best corners in the NFL can defend Tyler Lockett the way you'd hope that they could. And that's what worries me on Sunday. The one that I'm excited about, the one that I tweeted about, the one that I'm Clanstradamusing it about is Rondale Moore. I equate it to, I talked about it earlier this week. If you haven't checked it out, you can check it out on, wherever you get your podcasts and on YouTube, that it's like a teen movie, a teen drama where you've got a kid. I'm like making up a plot as we go here, but I have the protagonist is, a kid that joins the basketball team or the football team. He wears glasses and has braces, kind of a dork, whatever. And then, he doesn't get to play. And then he finally gets to play and he becomes this star. I feel like we're seeing that with Rondale Moore, but it's not necessarily not getting to play, but it's Cliff Kingsbury not utilizing him properly. Not using him as just a gimmick when he's so fast. He can run great routes. He's a smart dude. Got good hands. Like he's got everything you'd want out of a wide receiver too. And even at 5'7", he's got blazing speed. We saw it, like right when he was able to run routes, like they allow Greg Dortch to run routes, and they disallow Rondale Moore from doing that. He had a couple catches for some chunk gains. This is the team to where you can completely exploit their secondary. And Rondale Moore could be an absolute stud for the Cardinals on Sunday. An absolute stud. Because look at this. This is my grandiose picture of the Arizona Cardinals offense moving forward with DeAndre Hopkins coming back in week 7. Hollywood Brown, bona fide wide receiver 1A at this point. He's going to get paid. He's going to be an Arizona Cardinal. He's going to be wearing number 2 for a long time for the Cardinals. DeAndre Hopkins comes back. And he's, he's not old, but he's an elder statesman in the wide receiver community. He's 30. Never been fast. That's never been his thing. He doesn't have to be. It's been quick. He's still, for me, a top 3 receiver in this league. I don't care about the young bucks who are fast and all that stuff. I would take DeAndre Hopkins on a 3rd and 8 must convert double coverage. I would take him over most in the NFL still. DeAndre Hopkins, not the fastest. Zach Ertz, Trey McBride, neither of those 2 guys have blazing speeds, but those are the 3rd and 4th options you'd think, unless Rondale Moore really emerges as a wide receiver 2. If he does, the Cardinals are a perfect mix of blazing speed and just efficient route running and great hands from the tight end and wide receiver position, DeAndre Hopkins and Zach Ertz respectively. Like, imagine that. You have 4 massive options that look completely different than one another. Size, stature, speed, height, everything. Skill sets. That would be an absolute nightmare fuel for opposing defenses, regardless of how good they are. And imagine if Rondale Moore has his coming out party as an NFL stud on Sunday. That kid's getting his braces off soon. Realizing he can use contacts instead of wearing those Coke bottle glasses. And we're starting to see like this fun rising action part of a movie where this kid starts to ball out. And you're hoping for that on Sunday from Rondale Moore because he'd be a perfect complement to Hollywood Brown, DeAndre Hopkins, and Zach Ertz for Kyler Murray to pick his poison when throwing the ball, whether short, intermediate, or down the field. The Cardinals would be a very, very, very tough force to be reckoned with on the offensive side of the ball for the future. Alex Clancy, Locked On Cardinals, your team every day. Thanks for hanging out. Thanks for making Locked On Cardinals your first listen each and every day, free and available on all platforms. Predictions, final thought, news and notes. Is Geno Smith legit? I'm going to talk about it all, baby. That's next. Locked On Cardinals. BetOnline.net. It's Friday, dude. I'm gonna sing through these live reads, respectfully, of course. BetOnline is your number one source for football betting info this season. The Cardinals are 3-point favorites. The over-under is 50.5. BetOnline.net has you covered with everything. Find all the latest player developments, team matchups, news, podcasts, and in-depth articles and analysis on every game you can find. And always, BetOnline remains your continued source for all your sports wagering information with live betting and up-to-the-minute scores for every sport out there. The fastest and easiest way to check on all your favorite games and events, including Major League Baseball, MMA, boxing, and golf. Head to BetOnline.net or use your mobile device now to learn more. BetOnline, where the game starts. And also, I'm pretty excited to have these guys sponsoring today's episode. Folks, if you live in a sunny state like ours, it's very likely you've had a few people stop by offering you free solar. The truth is that many of these companies aren't local, and because of that, they're using misleading tactics and end up overcharging homeowners. If you're considering solar, but something felt a little off, then you're going to like today's sponsor. My Solar Nerd's mission is simple. Help you get the best solar system to fit your needs. The guys at mysolarnerd.com are local, which is good, and understand the nuances of going solar in Arizona. They've been doing this for a while and understand that an educated customer is a happy customer. There's no pressure approach will make sure all your questions get answered. They firmly believe that if you live in Arizona, switching to solar should mean saving money. They'll also help you figure out all the credits and incentive you may qualify for, and they'll make sure that your transition to solar is as smooth as possible by managing the entire project for you and keeping you updated along the way. Our listeners will get $50 Amazon gift card when they book a no-commitment evaluation. This promotion is only for our listeners that are homeowners, so keep that in mind. Visit mysolarnerd.com and select Locked On in their How Did You Hear About Us box. Make the switch to solar on your terms. Start your research process by visiting mysolarnerd.com today and show Locked On some love by letting them know we sent you. Folks, going solar doesn't need to be complicated. mysolarnerd.com makes it easy. Are the Cardinals going to win on Sunday? Are they going to lose on Sunday? Are they going to go up to 500? Are they going to drop to 2-4 and have some very uncomfortable questions to be asked? We're going to find out either at 1:05 Pacific or at 2:30 Pacific, depending on if the Seattle Mariners host a playoff game. Guessing it has something to do with Fox, but I'm not 100% sure. I'm excited for this matchup. Kind of terrified if the Cardinals lose, what it's going to look like. Because if it's Philly, you have that built-in excuse. Well, they're the last undefeated team in football. I mean, they may not be the best team in football, but the last undefeated team in football. The Cardinals marched down, were a field goal away from tying that game and going to overtime. So it's kind of like if there were a moral victory, it would be that, even though there isn't. But I do think the Cardinals played their best game on Sunday against the Philadelphia Eagles in a losing fashion. And I think you just got to look at it a different way now. We've had weird starts the last few seasons. The Cardinals have come out hot as hell. So it kind of throws things off a little bit. The expectations change, which is kind of irrational, even though it's rational, but it's irrational because the expectations shouldn't change when the season started to mid-season, but they do when you start 7-0 and go 10-2, and then things happen the way they did. It's like, well, maybe the Cardinals weren't like that good. Maybe they weren't 11-6 good last year. Like now, I'd much rather go through the mud and the muck of being around 500 and then making a push mid to late through the season like winning teams do. And the Cardinals 100% have the capability of doing that. We just need to see it happen. Couple keys to victory for the Cardinals. They need to not hit the snooze button. If this is your first time listening to Locked On Cardinals, thank you. If you've been listening to Locked On Cardinals for the last week, thank you. If you've been listening since 2017, thank you. Over the last couple weeks, what I've been saying is the Cardinals are a high school kid who has to get up for school, but snoozes for half an hour and is late for school. That's what the Cardinals have been doing through the starts of the first 5 weeks. And they can't do it. They have to wake up on time, shower, eat their, balanced breakfast, and get to school on time. They need to be ready at kickoff. They can't be ready at the second kickoff to start the second half. It can't happen anymore. It's been 5 weeks. The Cardinals haven't scored a point. They haven't played world-beater defenses. They just haven't been ready. And that can't happen. It's what I've been saying since week one. You got to start hot. Got to start ready. Not even start hot. Just have sustained drives. Be present. Be aware that you are playing a football game when the game starts and not wait till the second quarter and be like, all right, got the juices flowing now, baby. I'm ready. You got to start hot, especially against a team that's put up as many points as Seattle. Number two, they've got to get to Geno Smith. This has got to be the game where people look around national media like, oh, maybe Geno's not. Maybe Geno's more what we thought he was than what he's been so far. And the Cardinals can 100% do that. The pass rush hasn't been great. Zach Allen has emerged as a great defensive lineman for the Cardinals. J.J. Watt's healthy again, so he's going to be on the field. Marcus Golden's been okay. They haven't got to the quarterback that much, but they don't have to sack Geno Smith to make a difference. Turning the ball over a couple times would be beneficial. Be more opportunistic. And the Cardinals can definitely do that. And number 3, Kyler Murray's got to be efficient. Got to be efficient. They got to throw the ball a lot. They got to score touchdowns and not kick field goals. This can't be Rams Part 2 where they kicked 4 field goals. They could have won that game if they were able to get in the end zone. A couple of those were on Kyler Murray's throws and missing Trey McBride in the end zone once, airmailing Zach Ertz, but that was a tough throw to begin with. Kyler Murray's got to be great. He's got, this can't be last drive of last week, parts of the game in Carolina. Kyler Murray's got to remind people who he is. And he is. It just hasn't happened yet this season for one reason or another. Not exactly sure if it's play calling. Not sure if it's circumstantial. I have no idea. But this is the game where Kyler Murray has his coming out party for 2022. I deserve that money because he does. That's never been wavering, in my opinion. He deserves every dollar that he's gotten. He's the best young quarterback the Arizona Cardinals have ever had. So, going into Sunday, do I think the Cardinals will win? Yes. 30-24 Cardinals. I think this is the first time they eclipse 30 points because they have to. This team is built to put up 30 points a game, and I know DeAndre Hopkins is out, but they got to put up a 30-burger on Sunday. And the defense, if they give up 22, 23, 24 points a game, that was the plan this offseason. To bend, not break, not be the worst in the NFL, only give under 25 points a game, and the Cardinals be able to put up 30 points a game and win more games than they lose. The offense hasn't been doing their part. The defense has. We'll see what happens on Sunday. Hopefully the Cardinals can get a victory, go to 3-3, and then short week. They've got New Orleans coming into town, a defense that you've got to be ready for. But first things first, go to Lumen Field in Seattle, get a W. Hopefully at halftime, when I do my halftime show live on Twitter Spaces and YouTube, you'll join me. We'll be talking about how the Cardinals finally had a breakout offensive output in the first half that we haven't seen so far this season. Remember, Twitter Spaces, halftime, YouTube, halftime, live show. Bring your questions, bring your comments, bring your friend, bring a beer, bring your dog, bring a hot dog, bring whatever you want. Join me. It's going to be fun. I will talk to you Sunday at halftime. Alex Clancy, Locked On Cardinals, your team every day.